Meet Serena, your virtual companion for emotional support. The ultimate safe space to discuss your thoughts, your fears, and the ups and downs of daily life. Start your free trial today at serena.chat.
Am I the asshole for going to college at my cousin's dream school even though he didn't get in? Throwaway account. The title is pretty clear. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I could use a second opinion because I'm getting really annoyed with the drama. Basic context: I, 18 female, just got into a really good college. I'm there right now, sitting on my dorm room bed typing this. I have a cousin, 18 male, that also wanted to attend this particular school. He'd been talking about it since we were in middle school. He was absolutely positive he would get in, but didn't. Supposedly, my cousin had a full-on freak out when he got rejected, but I wasn't there for that. He got his email a few days before I got mine. My parents were overjoyed that I'd gotten in, and with a big scholarship, but as soon as my uncle, aunt, and cousin heard, they jumped on me immediately. Calls, texts, showing up to my parents' house uninvited, trying to convince me to give my spot to my cousin. He was livid that I was accepted but he wasn't. I told him it was probably because I had a bunch of extracurriculars and he didn't because he thought they were a waste of valuable study time. He said I didn't work as hard as him or get as good of grades as him and didn't deserve to go to this college, but he couldn't. I told him tough shit, that's life, and he screamed that I'd probably just drop out anyways because I won't be able to handle it like he would. It got to the point that I just left my phone off and exclusively used my laptop for about a week because they wouldn't stop bugging me. Once they figured out they wouldn't get me to give my cousin my acceptance, because I literally can't, that's not how acceptance works, they started trying to convince me to go to a different school. Since apparently this one can't actually be all that good if they couldn't even recognize a talented and smart person like my cousin, and that I'd probably be much happier at some other school. This went on until the day I left for school 3 weeks ago. The day I left, my cousin actually came to my parents' house just before I left and told me flat out that if I really went through with this we weren't family anymore because he doesn't want to be related to someone that would be so willing to steal his dreams. Actual quote. I told him okay and got in my car. Now I'm all set up in my dorm. My roommate is fun as heck. Classes are going well, and I'm really happy. My cousin still keeps posting angsty junk on his Instagram about dreams being false and hard work being bullshit that doesn't get you anywhere. It's annoying. So what do you guys think? Should I have gone to a different school? Am I the asshole? Update. This got a lot more attention than I expected it to. Thanks for all the kind words and confirming that I am not the unreasonable one here. I'm gonna quickly answer some questions that have been asked by multiple people because replying to 100 separate comments sounds like a pain. 1. Where were your parents during all this? Trying to keep me distracted from the drama. Taking me shopping for my dorm. Getting my car checked out before I left. A celebration dinner with my grandparents. Just trying to make sure I was still happy about my acceptance. 2. Did your cousin apply to any other schools? Yes, he did, but only because his guidance counselor told him to have at least one backup just in case. He did get accepted to his second choice school, but he's still salty. 3. What program did you pick? I'm doing videography. It's a pretty competitive program, so I'm really lucky I got in. 4. Why haven't you blocked your cousin? This one is fair. I really should have a while ago. He stopped talking to me completely anyways, so it's not the worst idea. 5. What's the deal with your uncle and aunt? They're obnoxious. That's pretty much it. They're the type of people that think very highly of themselves, and it rubbed off on their son. They drilled it into my cousin's head for years that getting into a good college will set him up for life. And for those of you wondering if there's some sexism involved in these tantrums, the answer is no. I don't come from that kind of culture that prioritizes boys over girls. My family is just kinda weird. Again, thanks for the kind and funny words. Bye. Not the asshole, what a whiny baby he is. Shoot for the moon, you might land among the stars. He could have taken his rejection, tried really hard at his second choice school, and tried to transfer later or just do amazing where he ended up. Stay away from these toxic people and their entitled child. Not the asshole, ignore your idiotic cousin and have a really good time. Smile. And told me flat out that if I really went through with this we weren't family anymore. The only proper response is, okay. Been nice knowing you. Go out and live your best life. You earned this opportunity, and it belongs to you. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You need to stop looking at your cousin's Instagram account. He's bitter and delusional, as is anyone who thinks he could and should have just slid into your spot even if you wanted to, and that you should give up your school just because he can't go. The immature tantrum is even more proof the school made a wise choice not to accept him. He didn't even apply to another school, did he? Good luck in mommy's basement, howling at the moon. Not the asshole. Why would you crash your future for something that has nothing to do with you? If you declined to go to your school, the likelihood that the next person in line was your cousin is 0%. He would have been notified he was wait-listed. Maybe block your cousin on IG. AITA for not wanting to take care of my husband's kids. I am 50F, with a lot of health issues but always have been the breadwinner. My husband John, 46M, has on and off jobs, more off than on. At the start of our relationship we had an agreement, since I had the education and job experience we didn't want anybody else to raise our kids. At the time he had 3 kids by somebody else: Jessica, 24F, Gracie and Jordan, 27. They are twins. My kids I had with him in our marriage are Taylor, 17F, and Charles, 19M. Both of my kids are still in school but have jobs. John and I have been married for almost 24 years. For the last 7 years I have been taking care of all the kids. He decided that he wanted to cheat and step out of the marriage more than once. I always welcomed him back with open arms. I'm now realizing that I shouldn't have, but I did. Fast forward to now, I've still been taking care of all of his kids, and they refuse to get jobs. Except for the kids that I had. I want to say that they have a mom to take care of them, but she just didn't have the money to support them. I knew that I couldn't leave his older kids to be homeless, so I offered them a place to stay. They are disrespectful to this day, they smoked weed all day, and refuse to help clean. I pay all the bills alone because my husband also doesn't have a job. My kids are in school and still have jobs, so I want to know what their excuse is. I can't take care of his older kids for the rest of their lives. My husband is saying that I'm wrong for pressuring them to get jobs. They live in the real world where you have to have a job to support themselves. I gave them the choice: they can either get a job or go back to school. Not college, they haven't finished high school. I tried everything I could to make them go back, but they didn't. I know that it's hard to get a job without a high school diploma, so I told them to go back to school or get a job. They don't want to work at a fast food place, but there aren't many options when you haven't finished high school. I pay over $4,200 bills not including food. I spend over $400 in groceries a week, and mostly they are eating all of it, because my kids will DoorDash food for themselves or eat out. I do realize that they grew up differently from how I raised my own kids, but I still think it's reasonable for them to get a job. All I'm asking is for $200 for rent. That is more than they spend on weed and drinking in a month. Please tell me if AITA or not. My husband is saying that I am, but I need a different opinion. Edit. This isn't an update, but see a lot of people talking about how when I got with him he had another girl pregnant. Not true, I wasn't really counting, but we've been married exactly 22 years, I just rounded up. I had no problem with him having kids because he wasn't with the girl anymore. I got cancer at 16 and was told that I couldn't have kids. I took his kids in as my own even though the mother didn't like me. I ended up having 2 kids, it was a miracle to me. I also want to add that he has cheated multiple times and his kids knew about it, and were still staying with me. Me and my bio kids didn't know anything about the cheating until my daughter figured it out herself and started to tell me things. A lot of y'all are asking why I didn't get a divorce sooner. At the beginning I stated that I had a lot of health issues, and the week I told him I wanted a divorce my health went really downhill. I spent months in the hospital. I just never got around to it because my health is still bad. I also want to say thank you to everyone for your comments, it's a real eye-opener. OMG, get out. Or get rid. I'll be honest, if this was my family dynamic I'd have left with my kids a long time ago. While you keep them, nothing will change, and that includes your husband. At the moment you're mummy to 6 kids. Give them all an ultimatum, 4 weeks to change or leave. If they don't, walk out with your children and use the money you'll save to live your best life. You deserve so much more. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but you are an absolute muppet for putting up with this sort of nonsense. Why are you supporting children that are lazy leeches and a husband who could not care less about you? Martyrdom is nothing to be proud of, treat yourself better. Not the asshole, those kids are adults and should be learning to take care of themselves. You've done more than enough. Lock up your purse and transport your kids to a new home. Get a lawyer. Sell the house. Run, run, run. People in their mid to late 20s can take care of themselves. They and your husband are moochers. You supported the family while your husband cheated. Both he and your stepkids walked all over and used you. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my sil to butt off and let me eat food the way I want? Edit 2. I guess me and some of the people here have different definitions of culture. For me, culture is about treating people with kindness and respect. I think some of you think I impaled the meat or something. I did not. I just poked it a little for extra grip and ate it quickly and discreetly. It was not the sort of thing you would even notice unless you were closely looking at someone. Like my sil was. If you consider culture to boss people around and tell them how they can eat and enjoy their food, then that is not a culture I want to be a part of. Some of these comments have opened my eyes to the ways my husband has been failing me, and I didn't want to see it. We talked today and I asked him to live with his family. We will be divorcing. I guess I never wanted to admit to myself how bad things were and how disrespectful his family was. I learned their language when they never learned mine. I learned their customs when they didn't learn mine. I celebrated their holidays when they didn't bother to do the same. Yet to them and many of you I am still the disrespectful one. Edit. Every time I ask for a fork his family gets very offended, so I can't ask for one. 99% of the time I do okay with chopsticks. This piece was just tiny and slippery. I used the bottom chopstick to just poke it a little for extra grip, then used the other one. 36F. I'm a white girl married into a Japanese family. My husband's family has never really accepted me because I am white, but they're not that bad most of the time. Usually, they are just cold, but my sil is very hostile, especially when it comes to food. I don't like sushi and my sil always tried to get me to eat it and has yelled at me for things like using too much soy sauce, eating my dumpling whole and not dipping it in sauce first, mixing wasabi with my soy sauce, drinking sake with rice, etc. Recently we went out for dinner with them for my birthday. I am okay with chopsticks, but I still struggle with them sometimes. I was trying to pick up a piece of meat and I just used one of the chopsticks to stab the meat and eat it. Sil immediately started yelling at me saying I was disrespectful. I told her I would eat my food however I liked and to please mind her own business. She always does this and I have had enough. People can eat however they like. I am sick of her picking at my food habits. She said I was being disrespectful to her culture. I told her how I chose to eat food as my choice and to mind her own business. Things got ugly and I left. My husband stayed with them. I have been married to him for 5 years and dating for 7. I have learned his language and speak Japanese with his family. His family has had none of that same respect for me. To this day none of his family has ever tried Egyptian food or tried to learn the language. I have been expected to learn it even though they speak perfect English. We live in Europe, yet I am always expected to conform to his culture. Am I the asshole? And #X200B. And #X200B. So what's your husband do about his family's disrespect? Not the asshole. You need to speak with your husband. Sil and the rest of the family it seems treat you very poorly and he is allowing that to happen. Every person has food preferences. There are Japanese people that don't like sushi, or mix their soy and wasabi, just as there are English people that don't like shepherd's pie. If I were you, I would refuse to eat with his family going forward and save yourself the headache of dealing with these people. Let your husband know he can deal with his own family, and until he demonstrates an ability to defend you and learn some of your own customs, you will be celebrating holidays and other events separately. Not the asshole. She's a busybody. Hell, just request a fork and knife. If it bothers her, tell her that she is disrespecting your culture. Not the asshole, but also. Things got ugly and I left. My husband stayed with them. Your husband should have stuck up for you, and left when you left. Your husband's family is behaving very, very badly by Japanese standards. My spouse was born and raised in Japan and we recently went back for a family reunion. I don't speak much Japanese except for a few phrases, and I have never mastered chopsticks. My spouse's family was incredibly polite to me, got me a fork when I asked, insisted on speaking English so I would understand the conversation, and in general treated me like a princess. I did not encounter any rude behavior while I was in Japan from anyone. His family is deliberately being rude to you. You are not the asshole. Your husband needs to stand up to the sil for you. Am I the asshole for starting a fight with my long-term friend over $4? I, 25 female, have been friends with Anna, 26 female, since college. In a happy coincidence, we accepted offers to PhD programs in the same large city. Since we are students in a HCOL area, money is pretty tight for us both. Our financial situations aren't identical, but they're comparable. Anna has a habit of spending somewhat above her means on drinks, travel, etc. Despite this, when we do activities together that are easier with one payment, she is quick to place her card down first. I believe this is because she gets good credit card points. However, issues arise because she is very particular about how I can pay her back. I think to keep herself from spending money that she will need for bills, she refuses to accept any Venmo, cash, etc. for the cost of my portion of the bill until her next credit card statement comes in. Then, she will Venmo request for what I owe, which she has set up to apply to her credit card debt. This system works great for her, but it is difficult for me. First, I am unable to account for my own spending until nearly a month later, making budgeting difficult. Second, she has a habit of sending requests that I believe are somewhat incorrect. The difficulty here is that by the time she requests the money, it is often so far after the event that it is hard to get a clear ruling, and she tends to get mad when I ask about the charges. Other times, she requests payment without being transparent about it. E.g., she accidentally left a 40% tip. I noticed the request was higher than expected. When I asked about it, she explained the situation, and I agreed to cover it because she's my friend. However, I didn't appreciate that she didn't ask me about paying the extra cost, given that it was her fault. I try to put my card down first, but it isn't always possible. I often just eat the extra costs. The latest situation. Recently we went on a trip together, where she had to arrange all the lodgings and transportation because it was via her university. A month later, I received Venmo requests that were almost all a little off or not transparent about the costs. E.g., she requested me for gas including several days when I wasn't there. I asked to pay proportionally, and she grudgingly agreed. The final straw though was when I agreed to pay parking for longer than I was there, stayed 3.5 days, offered to pay 4 days, but she instead charged me 4.5 days. My money philosophy is generally, I got your coffee this time, you'll get mine another time. But with Anna, I'm quite fed up. The difference was only $4 between the totals, but I insisted she fix it because I was sick of overpaying, and she refused. She called me an asshole and cheap to start a fight over such a small amount. I ultimately gave her the money to end the conflict, but we're both clearly mad and haven't spoken in days. I may be the asshole because I could afford the difference, and I don't think she's doing it on purpose. But I think she is an asshole for using her money system at the expense of her friends. Not the asshole. She's asking you to pay more than your share when she's getting credit card points for putting her card down. She's basically getting paid 3 times, you paying her back what you owe, some of what she owed, and cash back from points. Not the asshole, she is probably using you to pay the interest coming from her credit card and overcharging you to pay for some of the things that she charged for herself. Next time you got out, ask for separate checks and also all the receipts and split it down the middle in front of her. Take a pic of all bills and put them in a separate folder. Not the asshole. Don't let her pay your way anymore. Tell the server to split the bill or whatever. Not the asshole. It wasn't only $4 you're disputing. It's all the other times as well. A few dollars tacked on to all expenses over a month can start to add up. It's the principle of the inaccurate accounting you're fighting here. Not the asshole. A restaurant can do separate checks. For other things, Venmo her that day. That is what works best for you. If she doesn't like it, well, it is her treat, say thank you. Seriously, you are both in the same circumstances. She is being a bit sleazy.